I mean, yeah, what even is a finisher anymore? Not many finishing moves actually end matches these days, and really they should be called near-fall maneuvers. Doesn't have the same ring to it, but I think we all agree the 1-2 has become as common as a headlock. This is why there's been a slight change in how wrestlers go about their business, and one of the fallouts from it is that signatures have taken on a whole new life of their own. It then opens a whole other door when you shout, "Wait, that should be the finish," and then your brain starts to hurt because nothing makes sense anymore. Even still, I'm gonna lay some of these on you, and then we can all disagree in the comments. I'm Simon from What Culture. Please do subscribe. This is 10 wrestlers with better signatures than finishes. Number 10, The Fiend. It's a little different with The Fiend simply because he comes as a package deal. His official finish is the mandible claw, but there's a whole story there after he wrecked Mick Foley on an episode of Raw. So while it doesn't look amazing, I enjoy how much depth there is to this. In terms of a visual though, it's not that great. And also, it is one monster passing his move on to another. I'm not sure if making you think of Mankind is the best idea. With all that said, if we go back to SummerSlam when Bray Wyatt's brand new persona turned up, he had one maneuver that looked so badass that maybe we should have gone with this instead. And yes, it's stupid when you thought about it, but that neck snap he did on Finn Balor, it drew gasps from the crowd and gave you an idea that he'd just broken his body. It's not like wrestling isn't full of over-the-top nonsense either. There's just more to the latter, I reckon. But maybe it should be used in a more specific way, and maybe it is actually the better of the two. Number 9, Cesaro. The neutralizer isn't bad at all. In fact, when you think about the giant Cesaro has done it to, it's kind of amazing. The problem is with the fans. Damn our stupid asses. Every time the Swiss Superman hits this, he gets crickets because it doesn't really elicit any kind of response. Therefore, it lacks the necessary impact to be called a finishing move, and I still don't know why Cesaro cranks his own neck beforehand. Why not, I suppose. The good thing about the multiple tag team champion is that because he's a physical phenomenon, he can kinda do whatever he wants. If wrestling was legit, he'd likely be champion forever because my word, when he goes, like a runaway train. So given that and his size, the springboard lariat he pulls off with ease is absolutely one of the best things that he does. He hits it with so much flair and position you just smile at the effort, and according to Arn Anderson, one of the reasons he doesn't use it much is because 9 times out of 10, he's a bad guy. If Seth Rollins is allowed to curb stop idiots into the floor though, I think the European badass is allowed something similar. Number 8, Goldberg. I love Goldberg, you know this because he's my dad, but unfortunately there is one entity that none of us can beat, and that's Father Time and John Cena. Doesn't matter who you are, eventually it catches up to you and you're not the person you once were. R-Truth seems to be the exception, but there's always one. So in 2020, Bill Goldberg just can't do the jackhammer like he used to do. It didn't go well against The Fiend, it didn't go well against The Undertaker, and there's likely a reason for that. It's even worse too because he used to hit them with so much majesty that if you can't match those highlights, maybe you just shouldn't do it anymore. There's no need. And what is the extra reason for that? Well, because he still has the best spear in the business, which is kind of his signature move. This is mostly as he just takes people out of their boots, but that snap is as excellent now as it was in the late 90s and everybody loves it, so why put anyone at risk and why not just do this all the time instead? If you need proof as well, just go and watch SummerSlam 2019. I'm sure Dolph Ziggler is a huge reason for that, but still, if it works, it works. Move forward. Number 7, Andrade. If we're talking about moves that make sense, the Hammerlock DDT rocks. You take someone's head, negate their arms, and then smash their skull into the floor. It would win you a match and you can't argue with that. Andrade executes his awesomely too, and you even get a sick thud at the end that makes you go, ah shib. That's what you want. Because Mr. Tranquilo is so good though, he has another maneuver in his arsenal that may be even better still. Cause a storm if he started using it as his finish now due to one Chris Jericho, but when he does hit that spinning back elbow, my word, it is top stuff. Andrade has the timing and precision down to make it look like something you'd see in an MMA fight, and he even does a little feint kick to disrupt his opponent even more, so it works on 2 levels. He also delivers it like he only has a limited time to do so, and I wouldn't mind seeing this used a whole lot more, and maybe even now and then seeing it end a match or 2. I mean, Andrade would have to be allowed to win first, but whatever. Number 6, Pac. The Black Arrow is amazing. Even when other wrestlers do it, they don't do it as well as Pac, and it's up there with the one-winged angel as finishes that fans actually believe in. Plus it's stunning, like watching a bird fly off into the distance, if that's what you enjoy doing. As of late, the man from Newcastle has also added another ending move to his arsenal known as the Brutalizer. It makes perfect sense because it's the antithesis to his high-flying offense, and I dig it. I really do. He shouldn't change any of this, but we also need to give a hell of a lot of love to his signature, the Liger Bomb. Because Pac is some sort of machine, the way he can pick people up and then smash them onto the floor with this, well, it looks ridiculous. He can somehow make it seem like he's broken somebody's neck, even though of course he hasn't. The last second switch up is expertly done, and when you think a person's head has just exploded, you will buy it as a signature, as a finisher, or whatever other descriptive words you want to give it. So yeah, just do that more, really. Thanks. Number 5, The Rock. It's an argument as old as time itself, but if you do go through The Rock's career, you will find a time where he switches from using the rock bottom as his finisher to the always ridiculous people's elbow. If anybody ever tries to tell you the Great One was overrated as a wrestler, remind them of this move. You have to be at another tier to get such nonsense over, and he did it with ease. If you want to break it down though, of course it's dumb. Just because you take your elbow pad off doesn't mean all of a sudden you have the power of 1,000 suns, and despite hitting the ropes, he actually stops before smashing the point of his arm into someone's chest cavity, so it's even more silly. Also, his opponent has just been lying on the floor that whole time, filling up their life gauge. Now let's not pretend this wasn't great, it was and always will be, but the rock bottom just makes more sense, and it looks more devastating. This is why the Rock is an all-timer, mind. Nobody else could get away with it. Number 4, MJF. MJF is still so early in his career, we have time with this, and time is nice. More often than not, he does use the Fujiwara armbar as his last move, and once again this works. It looks like it hurts and that somebody would tap out if it was applied. I just don't think it really marries up with his character. Often cheating or being an out-and-out dick. It's not like MJF often beats up his opponent's arms to weaken it. That's not his style, and nor it should be. Therefore, when you are talking about other maneuvers that he may be busting out, well, you gotta give a special mention to the pendulum pile driver. MJF is nasty to his core, and that is one nasty ass move. It has an awesome name as well, and when you see it, you'll damn sure remember it. He'd absolutely make it his own if he stuck with it for long enough, and most of the greats can also make that claim. Again, it just feels wrong to criticize MJF at the moment because he's doing so well, and really, he's just gonna get better and better. That is no bad thing. Number 3, Kevin Owens. These days, Kevin Owens has 2 interchangeable finishes. The pop-up bow bomb has served him ever since his NXT days, and of course over the last year or two he's added the Stone Cold Stunner to his repertoire. I like both, but this is yet another case of him having something else in his pocket which he hits so well that actually it could be added as a third finishing move, and I am of course talking about the Frog Splash. Now he has a problem in the sense that Montez Ford's version has become so amazing, other wrestlers may be forced to never do theirs again. But the difference here is in how they look. KO doesn't seem like someone who should fly through the air with as much grace as he does, and that's why it's great. There's also the small issue that when you do see the stunner, your brain screams, "Stone Cold Steve Austin!" But is that a bad thing? Maybe, maybe not. You'll have to decide. Number 2, Lance Archer. The Blackout is one of my favorite finishing moves, doubly so because Lance Archer somehow manages to hit it on dudes who are giants. That just accentuates how much of a monster he is, and I can't think of anyone else who has done this. It ticks a lot of boxes. There's always going to be an exception though, much like R-Truth from earlier, because some guys are going to be too big to hit with this, and that's why, much like he did over in New Japan, Archer has been smart and kept the Everybody Dies Claw, also known as the EBD. It's one of these stupid moves that is laughable at first because it's literally a man grabbing another man's face, but when you see Lance do it, it's just so damn convincing. It's like he's stopping the blood from getting to someone's brain, and when he grabs an individual's head and also smashes it into the canvas, my word. He has been using both in AEW, which is great, but if he wanted to make the shift proper, I don't think I'd mind at all. That's how good it is. Number 1, The Undertaker. Okay, right, this is just here as everybody argues it, even though it's a contentious issue. The tombstone is brilliant, it just is. The execution is masterful, it works for The Undertaker's character perfectly, and even in 100 years, if somebody does it, we will think of the dead man. However, there are a group of fans, mostly those who first saw Taker as the American Badass, who state that the last ride, which is kind of a signature, is the better of the two. And look, it does flippin' rock. Not only does the Phenom hoist his rivals so far up into the air it looks like they're never gonna come back, the sheer visual of them flying into the floor makes it look like a powerbomb on adrenaline. Go and watch the one he did to Triple H at WrestleMania 17. The game is so high up there, it is madness. Despite ruining the idea of this list, do you really think the Tombstone should be retired in favor of this, or that somehow it's the second of the two moves? And also, if he did start doing that, do you really want to see people start kicking out of it like it's the Attitude Adjustment? Not on my watch. And do I wear a watch? No, I do not. Know of any other wrestlers who have better signatures than finishers? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and watch more videos here at What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture, and I will talk to you again soon.